There we go, and we're ready to get started. Well, everybody, again, welcome to our Zoom session this afternoon. My name is Cynthia Kane, and some of you may have had a chance maybe to contact me, but for others, this may be new to you, and you may not have had a chance to get to know me until now. The first thing I want to do is just introduce myself as the librarian liaison for all of you in the School of Library and Information Management. Now, basically, that means that if you ever have any questions about how to do research with any of your assignments for your SLIM courses, no matter what they happen to be, I am the person to contact, especially if you're having any difficulties getting started with research, or if you tried some different ways of searching with different databases through our library's webpage, and if you're running into any difficulties, please do not hesitate to contact me. I'm going to make sure that you have my contact information at the beginning and then also as we wrap up our session. But something else that I really enjoy doing are these types of sessions, both face-to-face and online through Zoom. What I really like to do is make contact and collaborations with our various SLIM faculty, and then just see what we can work out in terms of your different assignments that you're going to be working on throughout your SLIM curriculum. So when this came up with the simultaneous sections of LI802 taking place this weekend, we thought this would be a perfect opportunity for me to visit with you about an assignment that's really crucial with your LI802 course. And that is creating something that's called a reference guide, sometimes known as a research guide, and other times known as a pathfinder. So what I'm going to be doing today is actually a couple of things. I have a quick PowerPoint presentation that I will send to your professors as well for them to put into Canvas. And that just sort of outlines the basics of what this assignment is in terms of creating a reference guide. And then I am going to show you how you're going to use a system that's called LibGuides to create this assignment that you'll be doing for LI802. So we'll be doing a little bit of theoretical, but then also a lot of practical stuff in terms of building a resource guide, and then the way that that actually works with LibAnswers. As I noted just a few seconds ago, I'm also recording this Zoom session. I will convert it then later on this afternoon into a YouTube video, and I will send that link to your professors so that you'll have this to refer back to along with my PowerPoint presentation. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen with you. And I'm going to go back here. Just making sure that I had everything ready to go ahead and get started with this. Okay. Can you all see this first slide of our PowerPoint presentation? Is that coming through?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, great. Okay, I'm actually going to leave the PowerPoint presentation in this view mode rather than switching to the slide view because it's a little bit easier for me to manipulate as we kind of go back and forth on sharing screens. So basically what we're going to do first of all is talk a little bit about what electronic reference sources are in terms of LI802, what you have access to, and then the whole idea and the whole premise behind this assignment on creating a reference guide for a specific audience. These are actually a lot of fun to create. Those of you who already work in different libraries, whether they're academic or public or special, you may have already had a chance to do this in electronic form, or even way back in the bad old days, I used to type a lot of reference guides and a lot of pathfinders in paper form and hand them out to different classes and different students. It's kind of nice I don't have to do that anymore because I can do this electronically and I can make a lot of changes as I go along. So one thing that I do want you to be aware of, depending on the audience and the topic that you pick out for your reference guide, no matter what that audience happens to be, sometimes you do want to show your audience different types of electronic reference sources, such as electronic encyclopedias, dictionaries, citation-style guides, and so forth. Well, the reason I mention that is I work in an academic library. I work at ESU. I've been there for about 20 years now. I have different electronic guides that I have created for library science students, and I've also created them for different audiences that I make connections with. For example, I also happen to be the liaison for the psychology department and for the counselor education department at ESU. So I have separate LibGuides that I have actually created for each of those different departments. And in those guides, I basically show the students different types of encyclopedias, different types of databases, websites, and so forth that they would need to get started with research in any of those areas, with library science, with you all, with psychology, and with counselor education, which also includes art therapy. So we do have a lot of reference sources that we actually have online now. We used to have a lot of encyclopedias and dictionaries and so forth in print form, but of course that was back during the days in which our student population, our student audience, was primarily on campus. Well, that has totally changed, and today is an excellent example. None of you are physically here in Emporia, so to have like a print encyclopedia for library and information science, that really wouldn't make much sense right now because who can get access to that? The reason I want you to keep that in mind is that depending upon the audience that you happen to be doing for your reference guide, you may want to use some of our electronic reference sources and link back to those just as examples to give to your audience to talk about the background information that you could get depending upon a particular topic. So basically, electronic reference sources facilitate information transfer for distance students. They help share information flow to a larger audience, and mainly they provide scholarly, vetted, and reliable reference information. And I have here as opposed somewhat to Wikipedia. Now, I'm going to be the first to tell you, I go to Wikipedia. If I don't know anything about a topic and I need background information, I will often go to Wikipedia, mainly just to get a little bit of a sense of what that topic or what that issue is all about. But I do that with the caveat that I'm not going to use that for my only source of information. And often with Wikipedia, I will look at the very bottom of the article for the links, the websites, and other sources that were used to actually create that article for additional information. And then sometimes those links can lead to more scholarly, vetted information, peer-reviewed information that's going to help me in the long run. So if you find yourself, when you start creating your reference guide, LI802, if you need to use any of our reference sources, if you go to library.emporia.edu and click on the Databases tab, you would then click on the subject category of General and Reference. And we do have some different reference sources, such as Credo Reference, Gale Virtual Reference Library, Literature Criticism Online, Oxford English Dictionary, and Oxford Reference. And those will actually give you electronic encyclopedias, compendiums, dictionaries, and other sources that you may need to use or you may want to use as part of your reference guide. Now, again, though, depending upon your audience, you may actually be finding other types of information, which actually leads into what we're really going to be concentrating on for the rest of our time frame today. So what is a reference guide? This is what you're going to be doing for LI802. Well, a reference guide can be used by all types of libraries. And again, you may be familiar with this. If I don't know anything about a topic, I don't even know where to start. Maybe I'm just interested in some type of information, but I don't even know where to begin. A reference guide can help gather in one place, either in print or more often in online form, where I can start on that topic. What are some books that are really good for that topic? What are some different databases? What are some websites to go to where I could learn more about that information? And these have actually been kind of curated and been collected by someone such as yourself who has become more of an expert on that topic. So this is what you're going to be learning about in this assignment on creating a reference guide for this course. So it can provide a pathfinder of print and electronic sources. It can serve as a resource to help patrons perform in-depth research or learn more about a discipline, or it can serve as an academic resource for an assignment, project, etc., for a specific course or courses. And over the last few years, I've created all three types of these reference guides for different audiences. And a really good example is I get a lot of questions, both from SLIM students and then from other students as well. How do you cite something in APA citation style help. Well, I have a LibGuide that I created that gives some basic examples of how to cite different types of sources in APA, books, articles, websites, and so forth. It's not the be-all and end-all, and it certainly is not anything that would be officially sanctioned by the American Psychological Association, but it is a start. Another good example of that, many of you may be familiar with the APA citation style site that's out of the online writing lab, Al at Purdue. A lot of you may have had a chance to use that. The Al at Purdue site is actually a really, really good example of another type of reference guide, because they've set that up to help people learn how to do citations and also how to write papers in APA, in MLA. They have a little bit of information with Chicago Manual of Style and so forth. So that is another good example of a reference guide or a pathfinder that's already out there that a lot of you may have had a chance to use. So got to keep that in mind as well. So this is what we're going to be learning about today. Each of your sections has login information, a separate login and a separate password that I have set up for each of your LI802 sections to enable you to learn how to use a site or basically a service that's called LibGuides. Again, if some of you are already working in libraries, you may kind of be familiar with the LibGuide or at least with the concept of it. Our library subscribes to LibGuides, and it's actually out of a company that's called SpringShare. And what I like about LibGuides is that the way LibGuides actually works, you really don't have to worry very much about being that familiar or basically knowing that much about building a website, trying to do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Basically, LibGuides will walk you through the process. And the great thing about that is you can spend a lot of time then concentrating upon the content of your reference guide, whatever it is going to be. So this is what we really want you to do. Think about the content. What do you want your audience, whatever you've picked, to know more about in terms of a topic or a resource? And what are the areas out there that you really want to bring out and feature most specifically so that they can go to your guide and say, oh, okay, I know the books, I know the websites, I know other areas that I can go to so that I can learn a little bit more about that topic. So concentrate upon the content. This is what we're going to be doing today. And let LibGuides kind of do most of the work for you behind the scenes. So this is what I'm going to show you in just a second. And what I also like about LibGuides is that it's really pretty easy to put information in, such as embedding video. You can embed a YouTube video. If there is a how-to video out there on YouTube on, I don't know, how to build a house or something like that, you can embed that in your LibGuide and then have that featured so that your audience can take a look at that and they don't have to go searching it out. You can embed images. You can embed pictures. You can do links to books and book covers if you want to feature books about a particular topic. And I'm going to show you in just a second how to do that as well. Just a lot of really fun things that you can do kind of behind the scenes. Now, to get access to LibGuides, we're going to go in just a second to emporia.libapps.com. As I noted, I have sent all of your LI802 professors the login information that you will be using specifically for your section. So I'm going to be using one of your logins today for one of the LI802 sections, and I want to show you exactly what this is going to look like, and then we're going to build a LibGuide, and I'll show you how easy it is and all the information that you can put into that. So I'm going to stop this share at this point. Now we are going to actually go in and build a LibGuide. So are you all now seeing my screen that says LibApps login at Emporia State University?
Yes.
Awesome. Great. Good, good, good. I always want to make sure that my sharing is working. I can see it on my end, and sometimes I don't always click the right button, and then I don't realize until too late that you're not seeing the same screen as I am. So I'm going to go ahead and log in, as I said, with one of the logins that I had set up for one of the LI802 sections. And Lauren, I'm actually going to be using yours. So I'm going to change my login here. And we're going to type in lhayes1@emporia.edu. And I'm going to type in the password that I have set up for LI802XR. Again, you all have one that's unique for each of your different sections. Make sure that I type this in correctly. See, I figured I could feel myself kind of making a mistake on the keyboard. You can always feel yourself do that. So we're going to do that one again. And hopefully, perfect. Second time's a charm with that. So no matter which login that you're using for your unique URL, your unique login for your LI802 section, this is what your next screen is going to look like when you get ready to create a LibGuide. The next thing you're going to do on this screen is actually click on this LibGuides link that's under Admin Interface. If you wound up clicking on this one, this would actually take you to the list of all the LibGuides that we have through the library, but that's not the one that you want to use to actually create a LibGuide. So we're going to go to Admin Interface. The next step, once you see this screen, would be to create a guide. So I want to show you what this screen would look like when you get ready to create a guide. And then I have a test guide that we're going to go back to in just a second that I started creating just to save you a little bit of time. And then with the test guide, I'm going to show you some different things that you can do with that on adding information and then what that is going to look like. We're going to leave this as starting fresh because we don't really, basically I just want you to kind of start with a clean template. And here, this is where you're going to name your guide. And you can get as creative as you like. I'm going to be the first person to admit I am not a creative person. So I tend to basically name my guide something that's pretty specific on whatever it is that I want to be doing. So this is one that I've already created. Well, I decided I was going to have some fun today because a lot of the time I create different academic guides, but remember with a reference guide, depending on what you're doing, a research guide can be something that is a little bit more focused for a topic, maybe teaching an audience how to do genealogy research, for example, or how to do research in a particular field. A pathfinder can be a type of reference guide that basically just collects information about how to find out more about a particular topic. So I'm actually going to be doing a Pathfinder today for you all. And I decided that it might be kind of fun to focus on something of my own interest, and hopefully other people would be interested in it as well. I collect a lot of vintage items from the 1950s and the 1960s. And as I've been doing that, I've been learning a lot as I go along. I've been reading a lot of books, looking at a lot of websites and so forth on collecting something called vintage opal glass. Now basically this would be vintage items such as Pyrex from the 1950s and the 1960s, Fire King, Glass Fake, other things that maybe our grandmothers had or our moms might have had in their kitchens. Well, I decided that I wanted to create a guide that would be a Pathfinder, and I'm going to be featuring all types of books and websites that I have found over the years to be really useful as I've learned a little bit more about how to do research and how to identify what is vintage, kind of knowing what I would be looking for as I would go out and finding different items. So this is going to be a Pathfinder. Well, this is what I've already created. So if I were creating this for the first time, I would just type in my guide name here. I'm going to leave this as community for right now. I'm not going to change this. And then I would just click on Create Guide. Then that would actually create the blank template for your own guide that you'll be doing for this assignment. So we're going to go back over here to LibGuides. Actually, I'm going to go back here and back again. And I mentioned that I had already actually started working on this one called Collecting Vintage Opal Glass, a Guide. So when you get ready to create a guide, there are a couple of principles to keep in mind. With LibGuides, everything is organized up here toward the top of the screen on what I tend to call tabs, but LibGuides actually calls them pages. They look like tabs to me, but like I said, LibGuides tends to call them pages. You will always start with a blank page, and the blank page can be your home page. And the great thing about this is that with your home page, this is where you can actually do some type of introduction to your audience. It doesn't have to be very long, but you can do an introduction on what is your guide about? What are you writing about for your audience? Why would they want to use this guide? What is some background on this? So with this one, I basically did a really quick introduction about why people tend to collect vintage items, and specifically, why would they be collecting something called opal glass? And I mentioned Pyrex, Fire King, and Glass Fake. So what I did here was just talk about why people might want to collect them, and also the purpose of the guide. And I believe this is also part of your assignment as well. What's the purpose? Why are you creating this guide? Why do people want to know more about this? What do you want them to know more about, no matter what particular topic you have identified? So mine is just intended to be a start for the novice collector. So what I want to do on this one is, I basically am going to add different tabs. I'm going to show you how I'm going to add a different tab or a different page in just a second for different websites that would give more background information on collecting Pyrex and collecting different things like this. One thing you're going to notice over here, I added a picture. Now this picture actually is from my personal collection. The neat thing about this is that you can add basically just about anything that you would want when it comes to creating a guide. And I'm going to scroll down here for just a second. When you get ready to do a new page, and I'm going to do add new page here, this is where you actually will name your page. So think again, and sometimes it doesn't even hurt to kind of sketch out on a piece of paper what you want your guide to look like. How do you want it to be organized? Mine is organized with books. I'm going to add a new page in just a second that's basically going to be websites that we'll talk about, again, finding more information. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Websites. And I'm actually going to add some information about social media. So the reason I wanted to do this is that I want to show you what a blank page actually looks like when you add a page or when you start with a guide in the first place. So this looks kind of boring, doesn't it? Not much going on there. You can add a box. And LibGuides tends to organize, again, by pages and by boxes. So basically, adding a box just simply means that you're going to do more of a subcategory. I'm actually going to cancel this one. And I'm going to go back over here to my home page. So what I did with the home page here was add a top box. That's why it has that horizontal way that it does. Going back then to my blank page, and then I'm going to come back to my books tab in just a second. In this case, I'm going to add two boxes here. I'm going to add a box in column 1, and I'm going to call this one websites. And then I'm going to add a box in column 2. And this is going to be social media. And I'll come back in just a second and explain what I'm going to be doing with social media. But the reason I wanted to show you this is that whenever you add a box to your page in the LibGuide, it will always appear then next with something that says add or reorder. And this is where you can really have, I think, a lot of fun with this. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you can add with LibGuides once you start kind of getting into your creative mode. The most common box that people will add is the first one that's called rich text or HTML. That just simply lets you start typing. So you can type whatever text you want. And in this particular one with the rich text or HTML, you can do some different things here. You can change your font. I had that italic title on my first page, or you can do a subtitle. You can also change the font style. I know a lot of people don't like Comic Sans, but it's there. You can change this, but again, think again about what your audience is going to see. After I create a few more things on this particular LibGuide, I'm also going to show you how you can preview your guide as you go along. So if you don't like the way something looks, you can always change that and kind of go back and then experiment with that all over again. Okay, I'm actually going to get rid of this here. Okay. And one thing I wanted to show you, because I always get a lot of questions with this assignment, you want to also think about your guide being something more than just text. You can actually insert pictures, which I did on my first page, and the pictures that you insert can be actually a variety of things. If you find images online or pictures online that are not restricted by copyright, if they have like a Creative Commons license, for example, that basically share something freely, you can share images that way. However, you can also upload pictures from your own computer. So let's say I want to insert a picture here. I'm going to click on Image. I want to show you this part because I will be very honest with you. I think this looks really confusing on the screen. This part is not intuitive in any way, shape, or form, and I always get a lot of questions on adding pictures. I'm actually going to click now on Browse Server, and I don't know, you probably are not able to see this pop-up window. Are you seeing a pop-up window that says LibApps Image Manager Library? You're not seeing that? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, just a second. Usually when I do a pop-up window like that, it does not like to share that as well as it should. So let's do this here. Okay. Let's go back here, and I think it's still not going to want to do that. Let me try that again. Yeah. Okay. What are you all seeing on your end now?
There's a black box.
Just a black box? Okay. Okay. Let me see if I can do this again. And if I can't, then I'll just add this again some other time. Sometimes it just doesn't like this. I'm going to do this Browse Server again. Probably can really see that black box again. Okay, let's see. Do that stop share. Let's go back here to share screen. Ah, third time may be the charm. Let's see. Are you seeing anything now that says LibApps Image Manager Library?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so you are seeing that. Perfect. Okay, third time was the charm on that one. So that's what happened when I clicked on that server. You'll get another pop-up window, and this is actually where you would upload an image from your computer. So if I clicked on Upload New Image, I could go into my Pictures folder or wherever I happen to have my pictures on my computer, and then I can click on a picture to share and then open it. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this because these are actually two pictures that I have already shared. This is one that I have here, and this is another one that I uploaded. And then I can actually save this, and I'm going to scroll down here. Okay, and then that actually, I tell you, this is, I think I'm going to do something here. Let's go back over here. And you're probably seeing a black box here, so don't worry about that. Here we go. I'm going to go back over here and share this again for you. Okay, here we go. Okay, and again, this is where I could upload a new image and then I could put that in. Let's do this. I think I paused that again. Let me stop my share here and go back. Here we go. Let's delete that. Oh, okay, didn't like that. Okay, that's all right. But again, I can click on Upload New Image. I'm actually going to click on one that I've already uploaded, but I'm going to do that because I want to show you what that's going to look like. There we are. I apologize for that. That's just not wanting to work the way that it should. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just go back again on that, and let's go back over here. I'm going to close this, and okay, let's just stop this. Okay. Let's do this here. Okay. I'll come back to that. Okay. Are you seeing the LibGuides again then on collecting vintage opal glass?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Let's go back over here because what I wanted to do, actually, to make sure that you saw this. So on books, I'm going to go ahead and add a box here. And the box that I'm going to create here with books are going to be, I'm going to call this one Value Guides. And what I really like about this is if I have different books that I know have worked over the years and I want to share with my audience, I can actually look those books up on Amazon. You can also share books from your local library catalog, and that comes in really handy if you're doing something for a specific audience for your library. But if you are actually creating a guide that might be a little bit more general and they might not actually be using your library or have access to your library, you might want to leave that a little bit less library specific. So I decided that I wanted to feature this book that I found on Amazon. It's called Anchor Hawking's Fire King and More, an Identification and Value Guide. I'm going to scroll down. And this is where I've highlighted the ISBN. So I'm going to actually copy the ISBN and go back over here. And under Add and Reorder, where I can choose all the different types of boxes that I might want to play with, I'm going to do Book from the Catalog. And I'm going to paste in that ISBN and do Get Book Information. And what I love about this is it's actually linking to what I found online, basically through Amazon, and it's going to pull in the cover art. Now, the good thing about this, too, is I could go down here to a description, and if I wanted to put in a quick description of the book, like a quick annotation for my audience, I could do that as well and click on Save. I'm not going to do that right now. And there you go. So there's information about the book itself, and I could keep adding if I wanted to add another book. I can do the same thing, Book from the Catalog. Go back over here. There's another book that I've also used in my research. It's called Pyrex Passion. And we're going to scroll down here. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up this one and do the same thing on Amazon. And I really love being able to do this. We'll scroll down here. Again, copy the ISBN. Go back over here to books. Paste the ISBN. Do get book information. Now, if this happened to be a book that was actually in my local library, this is where I could actually go ahead and add the call number and then any other notes about being able to access that locally. But we'll go ahead and save this. And there you go. And that adds a little bit more visual impact then to your guide. So going back to websites and social media, again, under websites, under add and reorder, down a little bit here. I just wanted to show you real quickly, there's a whole bunch of other things that you can do with this. If you want to actually add a link to a database from your local library, again, if you're doing a research guide or a Pathfinder for your local audience, the database tab here will actually go ahead and let you link directly to different databases, which can help bypass any information or any other hurdles that your audience might have to leap through in trying to get access to that database. The media or widget choice, that's a really fun one too. That's the one in which you could link to a YouTube video. So if you had a YouTube video that was maybe like a how-to on your particular topic, you could add the title of the YouTube video here. And when you're in YouTube, I'm just going to go to YouTube for just real quickly here. And once you do a search with a YouTube video, I'm just going to see if I have anything on here on Pyrex collection. And there is. There's a YouTube video on just about everything, I think. Here we go. Well, here's a YouTube video that somebody did. I'm going to go ahead and pause that here. But this is a YouTube video it looks like somebody did about their Pyrex collection. So if I wanted to grab the embed code, I can copy the embedding code, go back over here, paste the embed code. You're going to choose where you want that particular video to appear, and then click on Save. There you go. And it's embedded right there, so that didn't take very long at all. There's a lot of different things that you can do with that. I am going to go ahead and I'll show you something else here. Now, if you ever decide that you really don't like what you put in your guide, you can always delete whatever you've done. Because at this point, right back up here, everything that we've done is actually unpublished, so nobody else can see this at this point except you. So if I want to, I'm going to remove this, and we're going to delete that. There we go. So if I want to add different websites, this is where I would go to my box called Link. And at this point, this is where I could actually go ahead and I'm going to type in, this is one of the sites that I've used to learn a little bit more. It's called Pyrex Love. And that gives a lot of information about collecting information about different patterns and so forth. I'm going to copy the URL, go back over here, paste the URL, And one thing, when you are adding websites, if you wind up doing this with your guide, this part is pretty crucial. Think about the target. So in other words, you will probably want that URL or that website to open in a new window for anybody navigating that, because if it opens in the current window, in the same window, then they're going to have to navigate back. They'll have to click the back button on their browser to get back to your guide. So you just might want to have your websites that you link to go ahead and open in a new window. Again, you can put in a quick description. So you can do a little annotation here. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Save. Now, the only thing that I don't particularly like about these websites on this link, you can see that that's not very exciting. It's just kind of a list of websites. So that's why I would probably put in a description that at least somebody could see if they hovered over that particular link. On social media, now this is something that may or may not apply to your different topics. What I found on collecting my different vintage kitchen items is that there are a lot of groups on Facebook that offer quite a bit of information about collectors, information on patterns, and so forth. So I actually added another box here and I called it social media. I would still probably do a link here, but in this particular instance, I could actually add a link to one or more Facebook groups. So if I did that, I would probably just put a description here that you have to ask or you have to request to join the group. And of course, you have to actually have a Facebook account in order to be able to join them. But get kind of creative with the type of resource and the type of information that you want to add for whatever you're doing for a Pathfinder. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this. So again, you can keep adding as many pages as you want, realizing though that the more pages that you add, the more that your audience is going to have to navigate through. So you do want to think pretty carefully about how you want this to look. We're going to go back up here. And at this point, I'm going to click back on Home. And over here to the right side, there's a little thing that looks like an eye. That will let you preview your guide in another window. So I can see at this point what I've done so far. I haven't done a lot so far, but I can see what this looks like. And if I decide at any point that I really don't like the way that looks, I can always close that window or that tab, go back, and I can edit whatever I want. So I like being able to preview as I go along. Something else that I do want you to be aware of, and this is probably really going to be emphasized by your professors. Whenever you start to create a guide, I changed this here when I was actually making this test LibGuide, but there's always a place here for the URL. The URL is going to be that direct link to your guide. It's a really good idea to edit it to something that is going to make sense to you and sense to your audience. The default on this one would actually be a series of characters or numbers that really are not going to make sense to anybody. So I happen to call this one Opal Glass, but I could always change that too. And I could do Vintage Glass and save that. The reason you want to do that is actually for a couple of different things. What you will probably wind up doing with this assignment is submitting the URL to your professor once it is actually created. So you want it to be a friendly URL that is pretty easy to remember, something that obviously you can click on, and then your professor will be able to take a look at that and then figure out what you've done with that and then being able to get back to it. The other reason is right now, again, this is still unpublished. When you get ready to submit this assignment, you're going to click on the Unpublished tab over here and click on Change Status and Share. For this assignment for LI802, you're going to actually publish this as a private guide. And the reason I want you to do that is that with the private status, Only those who have the URL will be able actually to view your guide. If you wound up publishing it as actually published, your guide would actually appear on our webpage, on the library's webpage, and you may not really want to do that. I wouldn't feel comfortable with you all doing that because this is an assignment for your class, and this is something that, you know, you're just kind of working on for yourself. So when you get ready to submit your assignment, go ahead and do that as private, and then click on Save. And you'll be good to go. And then all you have to do is copy and paste that URL and submit that for your assignment, and then you'll be all taken care of. And again, don't forget that you can always preview that and see what that looks like as you go along. I'm going to go back to here we go. I'm going to move this for just a second. And I'm going to go back one more time. To wrap up our PowerPoint presentation, because there are a couple of other things that I wanted to show you. So if you've never done anything like this before on creating a pathfinder, creating a research guide, there's lots of help out there. I have a link on this PowerPoint presentation that I'll be sending to your professors, and everything that I've gone over plus a little bit more information is on this Learning to Create a LibGuide, libguides.emporia.edu/creating. But in addition to that, the LibGuides in SpringShare software is really awesome at sharing everything that they do. And I'm a huge believer in going out and kind of looking for different ideas. So I wanted to give you this link that's called community.libguides.com. And I'm going to stop this share here and go back and show you what that looks like. This is community.libguides.com. What I would really encourage you to do is to visit this site before you even get started. Once you have a topic in mind, type in your topic or the idea that you want to research, and when you type this in with a keyword, this is going to bring up a lot of different LibGuides that different libraries have done that might give you some ideas of how they kind of approach this topic, what their LibGuide actually looks like. It can really get you started on some different creative things. And here are some recent picks. Like, for example, here's one that somebody did about Harry Potter. Oh, decided not. Well, I decided it didn't like that. Sorry about that. I was hoping that it would. But you can kind of browse through some different ones here, and that can give you some different ideas of, let's see if it likes this one even better. Oh, that's looking more promising there. Library and Information Science Careers. Okay, so here is a LibGuide that looks a lot different because there's some different customization that you can do with this too. But this is one that somebody wrote from Simmons Library on Library and Information Science Careers. That's perfect timing. What can I do with a degree in library science? And so what you can see is you can add different boxes. You can reorganize those. There's just a lot of different things that you can do. And that can kind of give you some ideas of how you might want your particular guide to be structured. And I'm going to go back one more time here and see what questions you have that are out there. If you have any questions too, kind of after you get started with your assignment, please don't hesitate to contact me. Your professors are going to be your perfect resources on how the assignment should go and what the requirements are. But if you have any questions about how to create your LibGuide, how to structure it, you can contact me at ckane1, number 1, at emporia.edu. You can call me, or if you like, you can set up a Zoom session just like we've been doing here, and that'll help you do more of an interactive research appointment. At this point, what questions are out there, or what have I not covered yet that you need to know more about?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay,
Perfect.
Hi, Charlotte. My question is, if we use the LibGuide website for Emporia, how long does that guide stay there?
Oh, I am so glad that you asked that, because that's something that I did mean to cover. So basically, your LibGuide is not going to go away. What will happen is that at the end of this summer, I will take all of the LibGuides that are created by these different LI802 sections, and I actually move them into a different account that I have just set up specifically for those guides. And then what I do is I deactivate the LI802 accounts. Now, the reason I do that is, remember, these are going to be published as private. So as long as you have access to the URL, you can always go ahead and get that. Now, when you get ready to kind of wrap up your SLIM curriculum, you're going to be creating a capstone portfolio, an electronic portfolio, and you might want to showcase what you did with your LibGuide as an example of a learning object, basically something that you created. If you remember the URL to your LibGuide, you can put that in. If you happen to forget it in 2 years or whatever, totally understandable, just email me, and I would be more than happy to send you the URL to your LibGuide, because it'll still be there on the server, and you can put that into your capstone portfolio and then use that to showcase what you did.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's a great question. Anything else, other questions that are out there? I know it's kind of hard to think of them when you're kind of at the very beginning, and it's also Saturday afternoon. Understandable. Yes.
Cynthia, I was just asking to see if our class had any questions, and I'm not hearing any right now.
Okay, okay. And again, that's perfectly understandable, because you're kind of been sitting and watching me do that. The questions really start to arise when you start creating and then start kind of thinking about what this assignment's going to be.
Oh, I think we do have a question.
Okay, great.
To create those headings, you create a box, right?
Mm-hmm.
Certain. Okay.
Yeah, it's, I always have to get used to the terminology that LibGuides uses, because I tend to call the pages that are created at the top, I tend to call those tabs because they look like tabs to me, but LibGuides actually calls them pages. And then the boxes are that's the content within the page that you're going to choose, whether you want the rich text HTML, or if you want to do links to databases or embedding your video or audio. Those are actually the boxes within the pages. And again, you can do whatever you want. If you create something and you think, this just doesn't look good, I really don't like this, you can delete that content and start all over again. That's the beauty of LibGuides. It's super easy to do that. Other questions that are out there, or?
I think we have one more.
Oh, perfect.
Is the LibGuide software itself, is that only available if you're within an institution, or as an individual can you actually access it?
That's an awesome question to ask, and I'm really glad that you brought that up. SpringShare is the company that offers the subscription service to LibGuides, and they also offer other services such as LibAnswers, which is more of a chat reference service, and that's what we use for our chat as well. The library, basically William Allen White Library, has a subscription to LibGuides and other modules within SpringShare. Depending on where you might wind up working or what you might wind up doing, you may wind up working for another library later on that also has a subscription to LibGuides. The thing about this is we want to teach you how to use LibGuides as an example of how to create this type of resource, but it's not the only one out there. I do know that it's also really easy to use free services out there. Some of you might use Weebly or Wix. I use Wix quite a bit. There's also other different types of website creation software out there that are totally free. So if you happen to be at a library that perhaps does not have a subscription to LibGuides, or maybe might not be able to afford it, take the content that you're using right now in terms of creating an online research guide or an online pathfinder, and you could actually translate that content into something that might be freely available, again, such as Weebly or Wix. So this is subscription-based, but again, we want to teach you the concept of how to create these types of guides so that you've got that in mind as you go through your SLIM curriculum. So does that help?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. And other questions? These are great.
What's your availability like?
Oh, thank you. What's my availability like? Well, I am a 12-month faculty member, and so that means that I am working throughout the summer. So I'm going to be available for you all. The only time that I might not be available is if I happen to take a day off here and there, but we can always work around that. Other than that, I'm very responsive to email. I'm very responsive if you call. I have voicemail if you happen to call. I also really enjoy setting up these types of Zoom sessions with students. And the great thing about that is that makes it really easy for us to share our screens back and forth. So if you set up a Zoom session with me, you can show me what you're working on with your LibGuide, and then we can just kind of share that back and forth. So this summer, and certainly during the time frame of your course, I'll be very available.
Is there a way to like change background color and stuff on it as well?
There sure is. I go into that in a little bit more detail on this link on learning to create a LibGuide. Essentially, you can go in and you can change different colors. You can also change the colors of the different, for lack of a better word, you can change the background colors of the actual tab itself where your text appears for a page. And I would be happy to send you all some additional information on that. It's something that takes a little bit more time to do, but it certainly is possible. So I'll make a note of that, and I can send you all some more information on that. The other thing I will do is, since I was kind of frustrated with myself, I wasn't able to show you as well as I wanted to how to upload images. I will send you all some separate information on uploading images so that you've got that in mind too, because I really want you to know how to do that as well. So I will follow up with that with all of your different sections.
When you were publishing the content, you were private, but you still had community checked. Is that okay?
Yeah. It will, yes, because actually it still will not be visible unless somebody actually has access to your URL. So it's not going to show up, even though I still had that community checked. The reason I left that checked is that I have run into a little bit, I'm not quite sure what the deal is. I've run into a little bit of a problem with, if I check it, there's a place where you can check the internal. I run into a little bit of a problem with other people not being able, like your instructor, not being able to see the content on your guide, even when it's published as private. So I tend to leave that as community, but that still will not be shared because it'll just be anybody who has access to your URL. So you'll be okay with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking that. Other questions or?
We have another question.
Okay.
Did we lose Utah some time during
Yes.
the whole Zoom?
Like, did the Utah class drop out?
I don't know. I ran into some technical difficulties because I noticed that they were not popping up. I've got Colorado and I've got Kansas City, so
Maybe they went on a field trip.
they may. They're doing outside research for their guides and then they'll come back. That's what they're doing. Well, the good thing about this, that is why I did want to make sure to record this session, because at least I can send the link. And so they may have run into some technical difficulties. I noticed that.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Other questions that are out there right now?
Are we good here? I think we're good in our class. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Okay. Well, thank you all. Oh, thank you. Like I said, really think about the content and your audience as much as anything else, because I think that's the key thing right now. And then do that search on that community.libguides.com for some other ideas of guides that might be out there that can kind of help you spark some different ways of organizing that. Again, if you have any questions, I am definitely available. I will be sending this PowerPoint presentation to your professors so they can put that on Canvas. And then I will also be sending the recording of the session so you can go back and take a look at that. So thank you. Have a good rest of the class today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.